prepared talk. Of course, my brother Cassius and so forth. So, thank you. I'd like to thank the Takanaka family who provide this facility, not only for us, but for Columbus. They've created it to make this a cultural center, and they've blessed Columbus, Ohio. They're great patrons of the Settlement Project and always make this space and much else available to us. I'd like to thank Marquis and Sumiko, the Vandermark family, who sweated out and labored like crazy and put these things together. And then we've got the tech and media guys who are always here for us. They work hard for us. I'd like to thank them as well. And finally, following Hillary's nod to women, we got a lot of ladies who are behind the scenes, especially they're preparing a lot of the background stuff for us, and we're gonna have a nice breaks and food and stuff like that. One of them is my lovely wife. There they are. There's one. Came out. She's just bringing new water out. But anyway, showed up at the right moment. There's my wife, Hiroko. She's also checking for. So thank you very much for bearing with me. These are our genuine appreciation on my part, and I'm just going to dig into my comments. I want to quickly describe our situation and look at a bit at some history and envision together a clear path forward toward an even brighter future than our already exemplary achievements of the past 250 years. We can thank the heavens above that this year's most special anniversary takes place under an administration that loves America. We heard recently how utterly disastrous the security of American elections are. And when we think of that, it's nothing short of a miracle that this 250th year can be celebrated by an administration that genuinely loves this country. We came very close to missing that. And having God only knows what as named as a celebration, but it's being done in a way that honors our heroes in our country. We were hurtling toward a complete collapse of our country. We still struggle to meet the challenges caused by 4 years of rampant government deceit and an orchestrated invasion of our homeland. We still have that work to fix and correct. America is such a truly beautiful country. Where comes from the open hate and effort to destroy it? Ours is the only country in the world where every single person you look at looks like an American. Every accent, every color, every creed. How remarkable it is to get into an Uber, hear a Nigerian accent that you can't even make out a single word, and say to the man, you look like an American. And he smiles and beams and says, I am an American. I came here 12 years ago, and my daughter's going to go to high school next year, and everybody looks like an American. Everybody sounds like American. How can you be against such a land? In session 1, we deliberately created a statement that American culture is unrecognizable other than our creed. It is not a race, it is not a tribe nor a lineage, it is not a geographic accident. It is a creed, a shared space of spiritual affirmation, of trust in norms, or in bonds of love and shared ideals, a home of common understanding, a love of good, and a pride in our beautiful founding. That is what America is. I was watching a Senate hearing the other day. A nasty, dripping senator woman was laying into a 58-year-old businessman accusing him of being a billionaire, as though this was the most horrible thing he could possibly be. He responded to this being a billionaire made him beneath contempt. He responded, "My parents came here. Neither could speak English. When I was little, I ran errands to help our family have enough money for food. Yes, I'm a billionaire. No one gave me that money. I worked for it and earned it." How incredible is this? Why is it taught and taken for granted by media and professors that our country is bad when just the opposite is true? These assumptions and this hatred has seized control of every U.S. institution that creates the mind and thoughts of our young people and our citizens. I will touch on this serious danger in a moment. My hope for these few words today is to carry us seriously into the work of the next few months, not just thinking about the next election cycle, but thinking for the next 250 years. Before we discuss this positive vision, we must be honest about our current reality. Historians often like to dismiss alarm, smugly pointing to parallels. No offense to historians from Berlin. Yeah, smugly pointing to parallels. They look at our situation and say, oh, this is just like the 1860s or the 1930s. But I am here to tell you the opposite. This era, this moment is like none other before in American history. It is radically different. Perhaps the biggest reason is that the fierce determination to destroy our great country is no longer amassing at the gates. It is inside the house. That is what is different. It has never been like that in our country so far. We have never faced this before. Yes, in prior times, foreign enemies could always find a few turncoats and collaborators, but there was never a time in which the very soil in which Americans grow is poisoned to the limits of every fence line and every corner. This capture of our nutrients, our institutions, and our foundations was contrived and precisely and deliberately implemented by neo-Marxist Europeans who had developed with truly evil genius a new and infinitely more virulent form of Marxism-Leninism. Dutschke, Gramsci, Marcuse, Adorno, and others. They became known as the Frankfurt School. They advanced and refined critical theory, forging it into what was called cultural Marxism, and then systematically and successfully planted this demonic spirit throughout American politics and culture in what was known as the Long March through the institutions. Some of you may be familiar with that phrase. They managed to capture every institution that informs our leaders, our people, and our culture. This abominable mindset is buried in our churches, in our K through 12 classrooms, in university lecture halls. It controls news, entertainment, media, newspapers, television, and most virulently, social media algorithms. It even extends through the arts and sports, which used to unite us in a shared life of beauty and excitement. America is now cursed with false premises that are taught as true, complex philosophies that are boiled down in slogan-driven ideologies that create a land full of rage and violence. From black-fitted Antifa lasering the eyes of policemen and women to some poor old hippie, also with blue hair, as it turns out, with a walker and a silly sign saying no kings. This is what has been created into American culture. This mental and moral decay is the full blossoming of a single fateful misstep in the French Enlightenment, when human reason was placed as superior to God's love and truth. This is a serious statement of mine. A single misstep, rooted in the French Enlightenment, human reason was placed as superior to God's love and truth. God's love and truth is known through Scripture, through nature, and through the inner beatings of our hearts and conscience. Our founders and framers knew this and built a republic to reflect those facts. The paths that flowed from the rationalist replacement of God first produced the French Reign of Terror, brutally slaughtering tens of thousands. It then went on to produce Marxism-Leninism, which along with the communist Mao, went on to brutally slaughter over 100 million civilians in less than 70 years. A single mental philosophical misstep has produced ideologies of genocide in ever-increasing numbers. This precise same line of philosophy now informs the current glut of celebrity campaigns of America haters who call themselves democratic socialists. Please do not be deceived. I know no one in this room will be deceived, but all of my neighbors are, because I live in New York, so. Okay. An additional fork off of Marxism is one that proved difficult for the longest time to grasp. Despisers of Western civilization left from economic-based rage of Marxism and exported that philosophy and spirit into race and gender. You follow that, right? You follow that. Now the bad guys are not some group over there. They're everybody. They're you and you and you and you and everybody you meet all day. Because you're a man, because you're a white, and so it went. Two areas that should abound with love and harmony, namely race and gender. The Muslims have one of the greatest phrases of the issue of we're created different. How does it go, Ali? We're created different. The Quranic phrase on why there's human difference.
In order to interact with each other,
to learn and know
each other and learn, share.
Right, exactly. And there's nothing better than love and marriage. So the two things that should be defined by harmony and love have been infected with the Marxist principles of violence and rage. This became complicated and hard to follow. It produced CRT, DEI, ESG, and gender ideology. Everyone riven with conflict, vengeance, division, the exact same trademark as Marx: hatred, blame, and violence. This same poison infects feminism. This is not to be confused with the deeply desired and wonderful progress of women's rights, which we received a university education from just now. Feminism, on the other hand, is a gender-based costume of Marxist blame and violent overthrow. It's a mission of division. This has come to be understood as wokeism. The main, and here this is another piece of news, perhaps. The main evil of wokeism is its possessed wrath against norms. Norms, laws, and orderly human relations are forced into the minds as students as the structures and systems of oppression and marginalization. Norms. A man should treat a woman in such and such a way. A couple devoted in marriage should stay in marriage. Elders, you should serve elders before younger. Anything that's a norm, the nature of woke ideology, its final flower is hatred of norms, and it's taught that norms are the structures and systems of oppression and marginalization. Please understand that. So when your sons and daughters come home from college and every decent thing that has made our country great has been painted as an enemy of human life, this is where it comes. As a result of being hostile to norms, wokeism exalts the queering of all norms. And from this small step, it results, the next step is puberty blockers and surgical mutilation of minors, the demanding and celebrating male aggression in women's sports, curricula that force racial resentment and divisions into the lives of little children who know nothing about race, and the firing of sincere public servants with the dreaded smear of racism. Children who have no idea of what race is are contaminated from the earliest years of their socialization. Wokeism is a philosophy fueling the inane view that national borders are evil and that police who risk their lives to protect us are our enemies. The other important leg of woke ruination is decolonial studies. In case you don't know about it, this comes from the mental insanity. This produces the mental insanity that calls math racist. You ever heard this one? Time racist? Time. Unfortunately, these theories are not the rantings of people in straitjackets. These come from tenured professors at the elite universities that you're sending your children, and they exert autocratic control over your children in school. Decolonial studies are what caused mindless students and overpaid media to attack Jews for the crime of having been kidnapped, raped, and murdered while innocently attending a music festival. It's from decolonial studies. It's a natural, it's the way our youth think. I explained it in my book, Woke Ideology, Critique and Counterproposal. It's deliberately written briefly and easy to grasp. We have to understand the root of this internal attack on our country and our children. Please do not believe that wokeism is dead just because we've had a couple of years of legislation at a federal level. It is deeply entrenched, it is more determined than ever, and it is reforming itself in all the same institutions. Our work remains before us. It is as entrenched as ever. The rebirth of communism in the guise of democratic socialism is very closely wed to this lanyard of wokeism that imports Marxist narrative into all human relations. When the very institutions meant to preserve and enhance our culture are used to dismantle it, we are in a time of crisis. Now, to continue and not to further depress you, forgive me for this, please hang on, we'll win this battle, we'll get through this, but stay with me. The second set of concerns we have to face is the superior development of our foreign enemies. These are superior, plus they have the benefit of this unprecedented level of internal vulnerability that I just introduced and discussed. We have always had foreign enemies, but never while crippled by this internal bone cancer that I just described. Millions of ideologically twisted youth and emerging professionals from graduate schools and left-infested universities go on to become prime targets to aid and abet our foreign enemies. Foreign enemies are wealthier, more sophisticated, and more powerful than ever before. They have a far broader field of welcome and support inside America than ever before. These foreign enemies collaborate with the shared purpose of destroying America. There's three, primarily. One is post-Maoist communism of the CCP. President Trump mentioned that recently, a couple of nights ago. The other is what I'll label radical Islamist extremism. Regimes that pervert sacred ideals revealed in Islam, distorting that elegant tradition into vehicles for oppression, genocide, and violent hegemony. I love the tiny distinction between ungratefulness and infidelity. It's like a universe right there. It was great learning for me. The third is extremist political left and the globalism, which is kind of comes out of the European Union and UN people. It's techno-surveillance despotism, bent on destroying personal and local sovereignty. All of these regimes and ideologies share one thing in common. They are based on conflict, vengeance, and deny the affirmation of benevolent, compassionate order for human life. Their shared goal is the destruction of the United States. It is easy to look at this landscape and feel overwhelmed, but we should not feel overwhelmed. Crisis and opportunity are known as precisely one and the same thing. We at the Solomon Project orients ourselves towards opportunity. We do not do so naively. We do not coat over the deep threats I just described. We take full responsibility for them, but we recognize that our nation was founded for a noble purpose, and we have worn that purpose valiantly. We have resisted enemies, we have won at all times, and we will continue to do so now. We do have the resources needed to build a golden era ahead. Doing so will probably need more of us to wake up than usual. It'll require us to dig in a little deeper and a little more sacrificially than usual. Winning this time is not guaranteed, but we can do it. We have two primary resources that will carry us and will help us win the day. And not only for us, but for the rest of the world and this time upon us. Our first resource is our own, America's, true ideological foundation. Our own ideological foundation towers over the dark, secretive, and deceit-filled ideologies of our enemies. This is our strongest and surest, I want to call it weapon. It's our peace. The American founders recognized that our lives, our families, our freedoms, our equality, and our oneness come directly from God, by whatever name or understanding. In our founding documents, God is referenced as nature's God, or the creator, or supreme judge. This is the root of the American difference and the basis by which we will surely prevail. Our freedom, our equality, our security, and our prosperity are not human inventions. They are God-given. Our victory lies here. If rights are guaranteed by a government, they can be taken by a government. If they are granted by the Creator, they are inalienable. This is the primary guarantee that we will prevail. While our enemies build on vengeance and violence, we build on free creativity, forgiveness, compassion, and the rule of law, which is the foundation of safety and prosperity. The second resource is the main thing I want to communicate today. American founders did not recognize God as merely the provider of the true nature of the human condition. The true nature of the human condition is we're free, we're equal, we have inalienable rights. But they did not recognize God only as the originator of the human condition. They knew that the same infinite divine was the God of providence. The God of providence. And I'm closing with this. I put this strongly before you today. To be patriots today, in this most dangerous and yet most opportune moment, we must take the next step beyond merely affirming that our rights and freedoms and equality come from God. The step beyond that is to forge a working relationship with that same figure, God, the God of providence. God in the American build is not just a referenceable, original source of things. God is a living figure. This is what it means to be the God of providence. This active relationship is the source of America's uniqueness. This is what our founders consulted to design our republic. We must not only protect and preserve our blessings, we must act as heirs of that genius. As we grow in the knowledge of providence, we come to know minute by minute, moment by moment, exactly what now. What exactly is the play called on this down, at this hour, with this yardage? That is available to us through a relationship with the God of providence. And that is something more than merely knowing that our nature and our freedoms come from this God. Providence is the understanding that there is a design and a timing to the affairs of men. It is the belief that we are made for such a time as this. It's not an easily or quickly adoptable concept. And one of the best places to look for exactly what providence is the great poetry of Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. And for those who don't read the Bible as much as they should, you always have the verbs, right? To everything. To everything there is a season. For every time a purpose under heaven. A time to break down, a time to build, a time to keep silence, a time to speak, a time for war, and a time of peace. Ecclesiastes 3:1-8 describes the God of providence and the God whom we know built our country and built ourselves and built my family, but to win this fight, we enter into a relationship with that very same one who calls the shots and knows what acts to take at any given moment. As patriots, we must recognize the season we are in. We are in a season of building. We are in a season of speaking. Our ladies have pointed that out. We are in a season where the settlement must be established in our homes, in the minds of our children, then in our communities. We bring the same life as we boldly proclaim, school by school, program by program, vote by vote. National health begins, and I didn't confer with my sister. National health begins at the dinner table. Civic engagement begins at the local school board. Sovereignty begins with the individual. We are here at Yokoso Center to do more than just listen to speeches. We are here to become pioneers of a new American Renaissance. The challenge of the current electoral season is real, but our vision is larger than one election cycle. We are here to start building the next 250 years. Our way is to walk with the author of America's Providence. Thank you.